Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Chizi Nyomasila, a regular on Open Conversation and also the leader of ICU Group. Good morning, Chizi, and welcome.
Good morning, Risha.
And thank you for coming on short notice again. And on to the story. President Bola Tinubu has again stepped in to arrest the deepening political crisis in Rivers State, directing an immediate halt to all impeachment moves against Governor Similayo Fubara. The intervention followed months of failed reconciliation efforts between Fubara and his predecessor, Federal Capital Territory Minister Nyesom Wike, which had pushed the state towards legislative paralysis and instability. According to multiple sources, Tinubu's latest peace deal came with firm conditions aimed at restoring order and safeguarding gardens in the oil-rich states, regarded as politically strategic ahead of 2027. The president reportedly warned both camps that continued hostilities will undermine stability, stressing that he would not tolerate actions capable of destabilizing the states. Central to the agreement was Tinubu's insistence that Fubara formally recognize Wike as the political leader in Rivers State with final authority over party affairs. Tinubu was also said to have instructed Wike to abandon all impeachment plots while reminding Fubara to respect political seniority, describing Wike as an elder statesman whose influence could not be ignored. The deal further covered upcoming Rivers State House of Assembly by-elections, with Tinubu directing that candidates loyal to Wike be recognized by the party structure. However, discussions on Fubara's second-term ambition were deliberately set aside, with President reportedly describing any 2027 governorship talk as premature, urging all parties to focus on peace and governance for now. Chizi, what is your take on this story?
Well, as much as I'm an advocate of peace, I've told you that there are two ways to peace. Either through, or even three, either through dialogue, which for me is being frustrated by the governor. And I will expand all of that.
You're right.
Or through war, which in the language of democracy is impeachment. Or again, through understanding. What I mean by understanding, again, I said, of course, I'm going to expand on all of that. When I talked about through dialogue, and I said the governor has frustrated that consistently. Let me even leave all other internal dialogue or agreement that was reached pre the election, after the election, and all of that. I want to say the one that even the president was involved in. You recall that prior to the declaration of a state of emergency, there was an impeachment move against the governor. And the president waded in. It was at that point that the president agreed with them and they brought out 8-point agenda. I mean, 8-point, whatever other program of something to be obeyed by
You mean the first, not prior to the state of emergency, you mean the first disagreement that brought out the 8-point peace pact?
Yes.
That was that impeachment was linked to the bombing of Rivers State House of Assembly?
Sure.
All right.
The president came. And of course, a non-mean individual like Sir Peter Odele, former governor of Rivers State, was the one who read out the agreement. And all of the parties signed into the agreement. You recall that just days after that agreement, people came in the guise of elders of Rivers State and began to push that the governor refused to obey, to adhere to that agreement. And the governor went that they went to court. In fact, part of the reason why they went to court, if they were openly saying that the president, that this is a democratic state, that the president does not have that right to do that. They insulted the president. And Fubara followed their route. That cumulated into the crisis and all of that. They couldn't just go. He neglected the legislators and all of that. And I say that if you define democracy, just opposing it to other forms of system, the marked difference between democracy and every other system of government is the legislators. So if you remove legislators, you can as well be called any other government, system of government, including tyranny, dictatorship, and of course that's what we saw. And the Supreme Court came and told us that that's what it is, that we didn't have government, because the democracy does not recognize such government if you do not have legislators. Again, the people came back with another impeachment because of the flagrant display of illegality in Rivers State. And all of a sudden again, a state of emergency was declared. Now, if you look at the state of emergency with face value, you will see it as maybe President weighing interests, and of course nobody can say that because now the National Assembly has vindicated the president, and of course the court has also vindicated the president to say that the state of emergency was legal. But for us, going into inside political analysis, you will understand that the wiring of politics, that meant that the president was saving the governor. Because the governor would have gone. He had done all over everything that is impeachable, except that the state of emergency came. No wonder the first state of emergency that did not only us. When people talk about, oh, how can the state of emergency remove the governor and all of that, they forget to know that the only thing that is first is that this state of emergency included the legislators. It never happened. There's no president in Nigeria. It never had happened. This state of emergency included the legislators. So it seems to me that the president was intentional in not allowing the state legislator to keep sitting, because if he had brought a sole legislator, for instance,
they would have gone ahead with the impeachment.
They would have gone ahead with the impeachment. So the president tactically also suspended them. So again, that's the second time the president has waded into the Rivers State crisis. Fourth, Fubara. And of course, you know that he didn't do anything. He thought that would continue. And when they came back, before they came back, he initiated. Don't forget that the first agreement that produced that 8-point peace pact was initiated by the governor himself.
It was initiated by the governor?
By the governor, yes.
Wasn't it initiated by the president?
No. It was the governor who ran to the president.
It was the governor who ran to the president for intervention.
For intervention.
All right.
So the governor, the president called them, and the product of that discussion brought out the 8-point
peace pact.
That he even said he was forced into signing it.
No, he didn't say he was forced into signing it. He said that, in fact, the opposite was the case, because when that peace pact, there were reactions from different quarters in Rivers State. The governor came out, addressed Rivers State during one of his public outings and said that the red pen is in his hand, that he was not forced, that the red pen is in his hands, and that he would do anything for peace. He never said he was coerced.
No. When we say you said this, now it is important to know that communication is not just by verbal words. It's also body language and actions.
Right.
So if for instance, there is I'm a Christian, so I need to relate this to a biblical story. The Bible was referring to a man. He said, if a father sent this person on an errand, and the person said, I'm not going, and later go, and then send this one said, I'm going, and refused to go. He said, which of them has obeyed the father? It's the one who said no and then went. So it is important to know that it's not just what you say, it's your actions. So if I am saying that he said so, his actions after that red pen thing shows that he was almost coerced. And so you could see that people began to speak, and the very tight people close to him were saying that verbally. We're saying that, oh, no, this cannot. So you could understand that he could have just done that. In fact, after he said that, you remember that in one of the occasions in Lagos, the governor said you're a peaceful man. I mean, the president said you're a peaceful man. Because the president was thinking he has accepted. But you go ahead and accept. The answer is capital no. So they went back, like I said, the second one happened because the state of emergency was declared. And they said, again, I said it's for him. He stayed back. Who ran again to the presidency? He went and ran and met Yesuwike. And Yesuwike, like the man he is, a man who can forgive the worst. That's why, as a person, in this whole thing, I don't trust Yesuwike, because if you can catch him to say, I'm sorry, that's all. Because he's not interested in one of the things you are interested in, the things he's been accused of. So they went back there, an agreement was reached. And part of the agreement is, okay, work with the legislators. What would have happened upon resumption? What would have happened upon resumption was that the governor would have gone to address the Rivers State via the assembly. He didn't do that. Are you saying he must he go there? Yes. He demonstrated that during RISEC. They quashed RISEC, that he was in RISEC office to address Rivers State, as if he was a RISEC chairman. So this one that is legal, that he is supposed to go there, he never went there. Never brought them. They were supposed to, a meeting that followed that was called, the other meeting was called by Wike here, and the other meeting was supposed to be followed by him because he's the governor. He never did that. Including the fact that the State Assembly kept calling him to submit assembly. Instead, he was hoping that the president would come in. When these people came again, they've gone again to the same president. The question would be, when we talk about, like I said, let me make this correct. I love peace. But what will be the lasting solution to this peace? If a man has said, I'm going to do this today and failed in all of that, went back to the second time and said, I'm going to do that and failed, what is making you feel that the same man will adhere to the agreement if he didn't even adhere to the agreement that was written and signed by him? How about this?
The question will be, how many agreements are we looking at here? It appears this one will not be the fourth one, even though this one would say it's more of an imposition rather than agreement. Now, the first agreement, according to the FCT minister's camp, was the agreement before he became governor.
No, I am talking about the ones that the president is involved.
Okay. No, well, we are looking at all of that because now you're also referring, you made allusion to the ones that the president have done so far.
I am coming to that. He
has not kept to them. So what's the guarantee that he will keep to this one?
He will keep. No, see, when I'm talking about the president is not is the first citizen of Nigeria, right? And so when you take, let me use the legal word, if we were going through the process of law, if it was a court, in this political agreement now, the president seems like the Supreme Court, right? And that is where he has gone to say no. It is not even one agreement. I had like 2-3 agreements that I'm going to discuss later on.
You're right.
But in this one, he said no again, and then they've come. This one is no longer agreement. The president just imposed them. And you know what? I can tell you that some of us will begin to ask our legislators, they have refused to pick our cause. I'm saying it openly. They have refused to pick our cause because they know the pressure will bring in. Because the pressure is, the governor called, the president called them. I didn't hear governor submit the budget. I didn't hear answer to your queries. I didn't hear all of that. What I heard is stop impeachment. What is the president telling us? The president is saying that you can do anything and run to me and you are saved.
Geez, I was actually getting to that question. But then, since you have gone there, because I wanted to ask that question, I'm looking, my question goes this way. Going by the several interventions by the president in Rivers State crisis, and none of these interventions worked. And now this is imposition on what we call democratic rule. Do we even practice democracy in the country? Because now, by President Tinubu's actions, if I start nitpicking his actions since he became president, I am questioning if he has respect for democracy. Now, by his actions in this particular instance, he's saying stop impeachment proceedings against the governor. Now, at no point in that imposition did he say, he only said his interest was the FCT minister and the governor.
That's where I'm coming.
Now, it boils down to, at the end of the day, I'm questioning the motive behind President Tinubu's intervention now. Is the motive behind governance, or is the motive behind his re-election in 2027?
Now, let me know.
And is it also okay for, because now a precedent has been set. So, is it, does that concretize that statement that no matter what crime you commit, run into APC, you're safe? Is that what is playing out now? And does that mean that anybody can do anything, run into APC and seek, the president becomes the covering power against the constitution and against democracy?
You know, Lauricia, I'm a member of the APC, but I speak truth to power. I can tell you that I was going to that to begin to bring out all of the nuances in that.
All right, talk. Go ahead.
For me, there's no agreement. And for me, he has not addressed the issue. I'm telling you the truth. I'm speaking here. For me, he has only spoken to Wike. And again, for me, he has spoken to the wrong person. Why do I say so? Now, it looks like all that the people are saying, or the people think that Wike has initiated this impeachment. That's a lie. That is a lie. If you look at Wike's body language, all Wike is doing is to begin to canvass for vote for, bringing up his structures together to be able to face 2027. So for this assembly guys, are you saying they don't matter? You can't say that. I did not hear the president call the speaker and the governor. This is not a fight between Jesu Wike and the governor. Of course, you can relate it this way, that the president is asking the minister to weigh his influence, to bring back to bear his influence on the assembly. But the question I would like to ask Mr. President is, if Fubara that Wike brought and God through Wike made him governor can decide to be disloyal, what makes the president feel that the 27 assembly members cannot decide to be disloyal? That's the first instance. The second one, are they also not matured? Do they not hold office? Can't they also do what they want to do? In fact, this is even a text on the assembly. To look at Wike eyeball to eyeball, to say, sir, thank you. We listen to you the first, we listen to you second, we listen to you the third. This one, we want to go do it in your own way. We support the election of the president, but on this ground, he has to leave. Because you didn't involve them. Now, are you saying that, okay, if you say halt the impeachment, now, like I've said, there is no process that cannot be halted by dialogue or otherwise. But for it to be halted, there must be a win-win approach. And the win-win will be answer to the queries you've been levying against. These queries, did you do it? Or how do we make amends? Don't forget again that knowing the working of government, there may be some agreements that will not be in the public glare. But if that agreement forecloses the fact that they've told us that FUBRA spent outside of the budget, it is either the assembly will come out openly to tell us that what they said was a lie, and they will show us the budget that the president spent through. So it's not just about them. Now, if the assembly stops it, the assembly will leave people like Chizi or Masla to judge them in 2027 election. Don't forget, we also have right to say what we sent you, you didn't do it. Tell us why you didn't do it. Mr. President says we should stop. Stop, and Mr. President also told you that the governor can sit down and do whatever he wants to do.
When you say that, one would say to a large extent, if the president is giving a blanket because it's an order. If it's that order that has been given, by the reason of that order, Governor Fubara has been absolved of every single offense. Now, on that one, still building on that, doesn't this ridicule the assembly? Each time the assembly wants to fulfill their constitutional duties, the president intervenes and interferes. And again, the states are states not subnationals. Are they not independent of the interference of the center? I am trying to understand how this thing is playing out and the dangerous precedents we are setting.
No, you see, in dialogue, anybody from anywhere, not even the president can intervene. If the president do have the respect of the people involved in the crisis, that's all you want. But you can also decide what Mr. President gave to them is not a constitutional order, so they can decide to go ahead to do what they want to do. The only way that the assembly can come out today to say they have withdrawn that impeachment, because if they withdraw it, they will also need to answer to us that this thing they said was a lie, ab initio. They will prove to us that they lied, and that will count against them. Now, except that we begin to see that there's a traceable, actions of the governor to now begin to answer that. Now, if you answer to something and said, okay, I was ignorant of this, I'm sorry about that, that's a different ballgame. But to say, no, don't answer, just halt the impeachment, go ahead and sit as governor.
How about our budget? I have a lot of things playing out in my head.
That's where I'm coming now. I said, are you telling him that he should just be there, no submission of budget, none of those things, all of the things they have accused him of, he should just stay, and we have a sole administrator, even the sole administrator had to submit a budget. So, all of this is going to play out. I think that the assembly have not said anything. So I don't want to begin to judge them. I put calls to assembly. I have right to ask my representatives of what they think about this and why would they want to accept.
But you said that he's not picking your call.
Yes, he knows. But that does not mean that I won't get him. I won't get them. No. Forget. See. Yes, so as a 1 weekend will have to come to Rivers State and meet the 32 constituencies of Rivers State and explain to us. Because it's not them. They have made it an individual thing. It's not. It's not an individual thing. They should hear us. This is not an individual thing. This is not even the reps thing. Because, don't forget, before even the impeachment, and we ask questions, tell us this, and they prove that fund is served into the budget. Or if there was a budget, thank God we have not had a budget. The only budget we had was the one that Abbas gave to us. So we want to know the budget that the man, and we want to know why they are not going back. And we want to know what is the governor doing? What has he done? What has he said? Is it that the president just wake up and ask the FCT minister? The question is, he can ask the FCT minister to do whatever be his bidding. The FCT minister can come to us and we say no.
But the truth remains that the FCT minister has a very strong influence over the assembly. The assembly is loyal to him. The assembly listens to him. And perhaps that builds the confidence with which Tinubu told Wike, stop impeachment proceedings against Fubara.
Let me tell you something. You know, one day I came here and I said, yes, Wike as a person is just taking the advantage of personifying Wike as a movement. Now, it's a different thing. Now, let me tell you what I mean. on the table. What is the governor doing? Is the governor, are we just going to look at the governor? And yes, he enjoys the loyalty of the entire assembly members. I'm not telling you 100% loyalty to the assembly members. But they have killed the morale at which he will come. The thing is, supposing we ask Wike, all of us also thought that the Governor Steve Fubara was going to be loyal to him. He was part of the people he made. So if we come back to say that you made 34 of us, I mean the 32 assembly and the governor and the deputy, right? And out of the 34 of us, 2 or 3 or 4 had decided to be disloyal. And their disloyalty, you are not forcing it on the majority. So what would it kill us if we say, sir, on this one ground, you have to do some explanation. We will not accept it. That does not mean disloyalty. We have 2027 election. All the candidates that will come through, God will send through is we will vote the person, the people. But on this ground, we tell you, sir, excuse me, maybe the president will have to come down here. Because we need to look at the thing. Are you saying that? And that's what they have boasted. Remember, that's what they have boasted, that they will run to the president. Now they are close to the president. They are close to the source. Meaning, you know what I mean? Meaning that the local, how do I say it? The local tendencies have been neglected for the president. So, all that Fubara needs to institute illegality is to be able to know the president and interact with the president. Who says that?
Is that not, when you say who says that, is that not playing out in Rivers State?
That's what I'm saying. Now, that's who says that we will accept it. Because he has said so, we will not accept it. How many times has he not accepted what the president has said? We will not be the one to accept it and bear the brunt against the interest of the Rivers people. No, we cannot. He has to prove to us. So I am waiting to see, because the assembly that I know knows that they will come to talk to us. They know that the fire will come. Now they will come. We will all meet at the stakeholders meeting, and all of us will sit down and say, "Okay, what happened? Tell us what happened in Abuja, or how, or were you called, and if they weren't called." And then the FCC minister will come and do some explanations. Why do you want this? Please tell us. They will explain it. So I'm waiting so that I don't jump the gun.
Now, I had asked you a question earlier that you've not answered, and I'll ask you that question again. Now, I asked, this intervention by the president, is why I'm questioning the motive behind it. Is it genuinely for governance in Rivers State, or is it for his own interests ahead of 2027 elections in Rivers State?
Now, I am not in the president's mind to know why he intervened. But he also would not remove the fact that this has taken, or it has disturbed governance in Rivers State, whether you like it or when you want to take it from that angle or not. So if the president, whether he has an ulterior motive other than the governance, he can also give us the governance as a solution. Of course, that's what he said, so that the state will be peaceful. And so, but in that, we need to tell us the process at which governance, the state will be peaceful, whether it is to host the legislative arm of the government, or whether it's to operate without a budget, or whether it's to flagrantly execute projects outside this thing. That's why I said that knowing the working of government, I've been in government, knowing the working of government, I know that the letters of this agreement, all of the eyes and the doors.
This particular one?
Yes, of course.
There is no agreement. It's more like an imposition.
No.
I would use that language. Because in the first instance, even if it is an order, there's a letters of orders. There are things that may have gone under wires. I'm a politician. I know that. So what I said, the way it's reported may not be the way it came, because the president had not come to address the press. So how many times have the president addressed the press with regards to Rivers State crisis?
See here, let me tell you something. When they read the other 8-point peace pact, you saw it. It was there.
It was leaked.
It
was not. It was not announced. That information was leaked by someone. It was leaked to the press, and that was how it became public.
Now,
I recall that initially when it was leaked, the governor's camp came out to deny it until the governor, came out to say, "Oh, I have the red pen." At some point, the pressure was much. He had to accept that he actually did sign that.
Now, let me insist on what I'm saying.
Go ahead.
If the president says, "Please halt this impeachment," or "halt this impeachment, recognize this person as this," and all of that, it couldn't just have been a product of an utterance. There could have been other political wiring that have gone
conversations that have happened.
Conversations that have gone around it. That's why I said, at my level in politics, I will not jump the gun
until you have all the information.
I will have the information because I know that the things around it, we will now know the information. There are things that you may not know. I know of items that were even in the 8-point peace talk that were not written. I know. So there are things that would have gone underground, and so we're waiting for such things. But until then, on the face value, what I have at hand, I am not saying to the Mr. President and whoever cares to listen that as much as Rivers people respects him, as much as the stakeholders of Rivers State respects Yesowike, they should also not disrespect us by feeling that we do not matter. The governor has told us that the legislators does not matter. And when he says legislators does not matter, you tell the constituents like us that we do not matter. That's what he just said, that we elected somebody who should represent our interests. And he said they don't matter. And so he said, look, I'm going to go to the president. And we're also telling the president that the legislator has a right
to say no.
And that they will be voted back in 2027. If they say no. That they need some explanation. That this thing again will tell us whether they should come back or not come back. It is for us. It's our own right now. That's when we need to vote. We're also saying that if the people comes back and explain to us and we say go ahead and impeach, and Mr. President, of course he can't do anything. He knows that he's held by legality to do anything otherwise. And he does anything that he can also go ahead to affect his election here in Rivers State. I'm not saying it because, well,
you're not saying it, or you're saying it?
No, I'm not saying it as what I mean. I'm not just joking.
Okay.
I'm not making it. I'm making a promise.
Okay, so if I get what you're saying that in as much as Rivers people respect the president,
yes,
and stakeholders in Rivers State respect Wike,
yes,
you feel that this imposition by the president makes a nonsense of the legislature,
yes,
in Rivers State.
Yes.
And now you're saying that if the legislature chooses not to obey the president and goes ahead to impeach the governor, that the constituents will still vote them back in 2027.
What? Straight.
And however, if the president decides to give covering for the governor who has said that the legislatures do not matter, and that he will run to the president and be protected, and that has played out, the president protecting the governor, invariably it's insulting the people, because if the governor has refused to recognize the assembly, it invariably means he has refused to recognize Rivers people.
Yes.
So that at the end of the day, if it is not handled well, it might affect the president's vote.
The election bid
in Rivers State.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. Because you see, you don't look at it at the face level. There was nothing that could have stopped the impeachment in the first instance. The president came in. The declaration of state of emergency came in. The third agreement came in. And all of this, the governor disobeyed it. And then you think that you can just wake up and boasted, went ahead to boast that even this one, they know where to go to.
But he worked, didn't
That's what I'm saying. And went ahead to boast. That's why I said, at my level in politics, I need to understand the political wiring that went before all of this, so that I don't say something. But I tell you that if it's discussed on this face value the way it is, that we will not accept it. And because he has done it, we can do it. And with that, yes, we will come to do a lot of explanation here. In River State, see, don't take River State for granted. Don't take the stakeholders for granted. Don't even take the assemblies for granted. You mean somebody...
When you say don't take the assemblies for granted, the assemblies at this point in time, are they not now the point of ridicule? You know, I mean, this is an assembly that cannot successfully finish one constitutional proceedings. If you look at it from that angle, and the reason for all this has been interference by one person, and that is the president.
No.
And the person he is protecting at the end of the day is also disrespecting him by not following through with. Now, the question now is, what is the guarantee that Governor Fubara moving forward will at least have a civil relationship with the assembly? You know, starting with the budget and possible nomination of commissioners for offices he has been running with PAM secretaries.
Now, let me say why. Firstly, you've talked about, you know, it looks like each time the assembly wanted to fulfill a constitutional duties of theirs, there was always an intervention.
I wouldn't call it an intervention, more of an interference.
Intervention.
For you, political intervention.
It's interventions.
Right.
You can intervene. Anybody, even extra president intervenes, foreign president intervenes in
other countries.
Other countries. It's intervention. Now, but I can say this, that you are not weak because you are expecting a particular person. That does not make you weak. But the danger in doing this is, the fear I have is what I do as the history of Fubara not doing what is stated in any agreement, whether verbal or written. And that should he go ahead to continue what he's doing, that this period he has weakened the morale of the legislators to so move another thing. Because even some of us will say, what do you mean? You want to deceive us again into saying that you want to go for impeachment? Now, it will now, what you think, it will now suffer governance in River State. Because we will have a time where some of us will now go to court to tell the court to let us know why the legislators should continue to be legislators and why the governors should continue to be governors, you know, when he is going outside the constitution. Why they shouldn't do what is the needful. He didn't ask us, he's not tying our hands. But you see, that's why I said the legislators have a lot of things to explain to us. Because you know why they need to do a lot of explanation? Because they were called backing dogs. They were called backing dogs. That means that they won't even back again.
They cannot bite, they can only back and
they won't even back after now.
Yeah, right.
You know, for today they were backing. And Fubara has called them backing dog. And if we didn't understand why this happened and why the other one happened, it will mean that subsequently they come back, not even to bite. Talk more of biting. Do you understand that? So they come back. So talk more of biting. And so we will not allow that kind of legislation to be. We also have our options. We have options of recall. I mean, if you're not doing what we want, we have an option of recall. Don't forget, we also have another option. Thank God this is 2026. It's a time for candidates to emerge. We also have an option to say, guy, you won't go again. Okay? Choose another person. Because you see these ones? No, sir. He will tell us why. But if they come to explain to us and we're okay by it, I will come on national television and said, okay, because you will see, I will tell what happened. One or two things that may have gone through. Because you see, in peace, in arriving at peace, sacrifice is peace offensive. There are places you need to sacrifice, but that you would not sacrifice. For instance, you can't say our tradition frowns at me marrying my sister. Do you understand that? And then you said, okay, finally, I didn't know this was my sister, I went to another place. I didn't know he was born by my father, and I went and married her. Sacrifice is not to say, okay, he didn't know, go ahead and be married. Sacrifice will mean
that marriage must break.
Must break. That's sacrifice. So we need to understand the sacrifice we need to make in these things. Because sacrifice will also come from one part. You just hold impeachment and the man continue to do what he's doing, has not explained. He's not even continuing in the future. I'm not even talking about the future. I'm explaining what he has done. And telling us. And presenting it to the, because of course you can bring in something that's okay, I haven't done it. Okay, let me bring it. And then we now begin to, they will need to call a public, what's it called? There will be a public hearing. We need to see those things. Because now, it's no longer with him and the legislator. The legislator have told us what he was not doing. And so we are holding that. The legislator cannot go back tomorrow to tell us, okay, he's doing it. We need to know how is he doing it. What did he do? What was it that he didn't do? The laws that he failed, we should allow it. We have two ways. We have other ways.
Now, the question I want to ask finally before we move on to the next story is, in your opinion, do you think that this move by the president, this latest move, will bring lasting peace, underscore lasting? Do you think it will bring lasting peace to Rivers State crisis now?
Given the history of the governor, I don't know what to think now. Because supposing all of the, undercurrents are right, I've seen it before where he came back and not do the same thing. So I'm frustrated to say that it may not just be. I'm not seeing an hallelujah in the front. I'm not seeing it. I'm not being a prophet of doom here, but I'm saying that if you look at the history of somebody, it looks like you can't cure a madman and don't think there's some element of madness in the person. But the only thing is that it will also have frustrated it has weakened the legislator from not even backing. The legislators can't even back again.
Because Rivers people will make fun of them.
I will. If nobody, I will. And it's a promise to them. I will.
All right. All right. Very well. Moving forward, Oyo State Governor Sheyi Makinde and FCT Minister Nyesom Wike have reignited tensions within the People's Democratic Party, trading sharp words amid the party's lingering leadership crisis. Speaking in Ibadan at the commissioning of the Oyo PDP Secretariat, Makinde declared that vagabonds expelled from the party in November 2025 no longer wield influence over the PDP. Makinde traced the party's troubles to a leadership vacuum after the PDP lost federal power in 2015, arguing that indiscipline flourished during that period. While admitting he was once aligned with the controversial bloc ahead of the 2023 elections, the governor said he had since repented, distancing himself from actions he described as harmful to the party's survival and unity. He warned against any attempt to weaken the PDP to benefit rival parties ahead of 2027, insisting that lies and internal sabotage will eventually collapse under the weight of truth. Makinde also expressed confidence in the judiciary to resolve ongoing legal disputes within the party and reaffirmed his commitment to strengthening the Oyo PDP beyond Oyo State. Wike's camp, however, swiftly fired back, dismissing Makinde's stance as the late repentance of a vagabond. The FCT minister's aide, Lere Olayenka, accused the governor of political inconsistency and warned that his professed loyalty to the PDP might be short-lived, deepening the public rift between two former allies in the G5 governors bloc. Chizzy, interesting one right there. I mean, once allies, now two parallel lines that are not crossing. What do you have to say to this development? Don't forget that Wike, first of all, said that he is interested in elections in Oyo State that triggered this statement by Makinde. But then, I'm interested to know what you have to say.
Firstly, let me say that what exists in politics is interest. There is no permanent friend, not even permanent enemy. What you have is permanent interests. And now, when you may be twin, and then you will be twins, but when your interest goes the other way, you chase your interests. That's exactly what happened. I think that language vagabond is too.
It's harsh.
It's very harsh, and that is not.
And uncalled for.
And that's very uncalled for. Even when Wike said that, Wike never called him any. He just said, "I'm interested in Oyo State." Of course, as a stakeholder in PDP, shouldn't he be interested in Oyo State? And you find that each time there's a state election, the party or whoever party, they will constitute a national force that will go for that election. So naturally, the nationals are always interested in that. So, but why is Makinde afraid that Wike is interested in Oyo State? Now, but God forbid that I will open my mouth to call a governor vagabond. But if he said those vagabonds, and he said I have repented, it means that you were once a vagabond that repented. That's what you just said. I don't know, but that's what it is. Those vagabonds that he said, okay, he repented. But the question would be, we have a PDP that was just giving court pronouncement on Friday that is there. Now, who is going to say the vagabond? I think this word vagabond will be ratified by the court finally. We will now know who is the vagabond, whether it is this place or that place. But I think that that's unbecoming of a public servant of that status, and they shouldn't do that again. We should know how to use words in public. But let me say this. What is their interest?
Who are they?
I'm talking about both the Wike
and the
Makinde. Each time you see a transition period, two friends may clash if their interest is not internal with us. Makinde wanted to be president. Makinde wanted to be candidate of the party. That's why he wanted to hold the party to him. That's why
he needed to have the party structure.
The party structure. He needed to have the party structure. Instead of uniting the party, he's trying to take the party to himself to be able to win, knowing that if all of the gladiators in the parties are there, he may not have the chance to be there. So that's his personal interest, right? Wike is also working his interest. Wike wants his governor, his president to be elected, but does not want the party to fail. Let me tell you something. It's a different ball game. Politicians think today and tomorrow. Politicians, you will be shocked that some of us are already thinking, even when we don't have our lives, that some of us are already thinking of 2031. That's how politicians think. Politicians know what is going to happen. Almost 90% of what is going to happen. The real politician knows what's going to happen in 2027. Of course, you don't remove the God factor in it, but the politician will know, and they also know how to position themselves for the other one. For at the end of every election, politicians will go to reposition themselves for the subsequent election, right? So Makinde, knowing that he is coming as a second-term governor, is already positioning himself to be the candidate, even if he may not win, just to be the candidate. There is this thing about being the candidate of a party like PDP.
His second tenure is coming to an end.
Of course, Makinde.
And he now has interest to further his political ambition.
Yes.
By becoming the Nigerian president.
By, yes, at least being the candidate of the PDP.
Okay, not winning the election, but...
No, he knows he can't win. He can't
being the candidate of
the
PDP.
Makinde knows he can't win. So, by at least being the candidate of the party, he understands that. But you see, the thing that is happening is confusing them right now, because even Wike said, I'm interested in what's happening in Oyo, that means Wike is even going to work for the PDP in Oyo. But Makinde is afraid that Wike may not work for his own candidate. He has to work with another candidate, because everybody has candidate. Wike is a national figure. Don't forget that Wike has swell of this party for a very long time. So there is hardly any state that Wike does not have, influence, including that of Oyo, where Makinde holds sway, or thinks he holds sway. So he's afraid that somehow, if what is happening from the national is coming down to the state, that he may lose the structure. sitting governors have lost structures before. And so there's nothing that says that he cannot lose his structure, so he's afraid. But like I said, the parties, the court will define for us. All of these things will be settled very soon. I know they will be settled very soon, because like even Makinde considered to, he said a time will come where all of these court issues will be brought together by the court, and a pronouncement is made. I'm talking about the apex court. But for today, the court that has made pronouncement is the court that has favored Mohammed, isn't it? And so, if he is somebody who is a party member, I used to tell them, why going to your court? You will know that should that other court not make pronouncement before the primaries, that your candidate must submit to this party. So you have to be careful. You have to be very careful. You understand what I mean? So I think that there should be some caution when making speeches. You know, and to be honest with you, I like the way the wicked people replied him. Say repentant vagabond. Because that's what you call yourself. You called yourself, you said, I was there.
You're right. All right, very well. Still on PDP crisis, Abdul Rahman Mohammed-led National Caretaker Committee of the People's Democratic Party has fixed March 28 and 29, 2026 for its long-awaited National Convention in Abuja, following a federal high court judgment in Ibadan that reaffirmed its leadership. The decision, announced after the party's 105th National Executive Committee meeting, is aimed at electing a new National Working Committee and resolving the protracted leadership crisis that has rocked the party for months. In a communique signed by Caretaker National Chairman Abdul Rahman Mohammed and National Secretary Senator Samuel Ayamu, the NEC approved a nationwide timetable for party congresses, with ward and local government congresses slated for February 2026 and state congresses in March. The NEC also mandated the immediate activation of convention subcommittees and extended the tenure of state and zonal caretaker committees to prevent administrative gaps, while reaffirming the Abdul Rahman-led committee as the party's only lawful national administrative organ. The PDP leadership welcomed the Ibadan court judgment, which nullified the rival convention and directed the Independent National Electoral Commission to recognize the caretaker committee. Mohammed described the ruling as a much-needed legal clarity, declaring that the cloud of uncertainty over the party had lifted and that PDP was now positioned to proceed with internal elections and a constitutionally compliant national convention. He urged members to move past internal disputes, insisting that the court victory belonged to the entire party. Echoing this position, the PDP Board of Trustees also threw its weight behind reconciliation efforts, with Board of Trustees Chairman Senator Mao Ohabonwa calling for unity, respect for court rulings, and an end to divisive rhetoric. Both the BOT and caretaker leadership stressed that adherence to due process had preserved the party through months of legal battles, expressing optimism that the planned congresses and national convention would reposition the PDP as a credible and united opposition ahead of future elections.
You know, Larisha, when you wanted to ask me a question?
Go ahead, please.
You know, I caught it there. Even when you were introducing the matter, when you got to the court saying directing the INEC to recognize the caretaker, you read it with emphasis, like a big letter-headed and then capital, because it was like an eye-opener. So the judgment was declarative. I told you this, you know, that is when you begin to understand that, look, the court has gone ahead to say INEC recognize this
Mohammed Abdurrahman Mohammed-led caretaker.
Caretaker.
Which means by the judgment of the court, this national convention is valid.
Sure. Now, let me ask you one question. Where is Ibadan?
Ibadan is in Oyo State, of course.
In Oyo State. Where was that supposed national convention held?
The other one that was nullified,
Yes.
it was held in Ibadan, Oyo State.
In Oyo State. Where is Makinde from?
Oyo State, of course.
The governor of Oyo State.
That makes sense why he wants to hold the structure of the PDP because of his presidential ambition. Like you said.
Yeah, sure.
You're right.
Now, why I ask all of this is, you see, I don't know. I told people that leadership has a span. For now, I think there's a grace that works with Wike. Wike is calculative. Do you know where they went to court, Oyo? Where the supposed national convention was held. They don't want any question of jurisdiction. They want to go to that same place. Now, politically speaking, it tells a lot about even Makinde. It says something that he should be careful. They went to court there where you heard that convention, and the court declared that that convention was not heard. This was not a court from River State, neither a court sitting in Abuja. This is a court sitting in your own state. So if there was anybody that was spending money,
the sitting governor didn't have that influence even over his state.
It's not, because that also makes our judiciary, that's made that their own bias.
Yes.
That's what it is. That it doesn't matter the influence of the governor. Look, who was spending more money? It is these people that were spending more money because they were sending people from here to Oyo. You had their lawyers from Oyo to just walk to the place. Right? And so they went there and the court in Oyo made a declarative statement saying that this INEC should recognize this. But that means that INEC will recognize them and no later from the other one. But thanks to them, they have said, the BOT has instructed that, look, we must go and reconcile everybody. It's just a caretaker. Even the man who was elected national chairman can also recontest. That's what it means. Is that correct? It didn't bar them from contesting. Anybody who has won, who feel that, okay, I won, you can come and recontest. You wouldn't say, no, for an election that was questioned and the court has nullified, I want to hold on to that. That means that you are the one who wants to spoil the PDP. It's no longer these people. They didn't say you shouldn't contest. And these people didn't go ahead and say, okay, now that these people have given us, let us say none of them will contest again. No, they've not said that. They are calling for reconciliation. So I think that we should watch the days, because there will be congresses. Their congresses are legal. Their congresses are legal. And the national body will be formed. And PDP will have...
And state bodies as well.
And state bodies. World, local government, state, and national.
While we await the outcome of the appeal court judgment and possible Supreme Court judgment as well.
While we await the outcome of the Court of Appeal and Supreme Court judgment. But if they delay, now until there is another court order, there's another court judgment, these people are illegal. They don't no longer exist. If they exist now, it's contempt of court.
All right.
In fact, INEC cannot even recognize them.
All right. All right, moving forward, Labour Party other Senator Esther Nadi Osman-led Interim National Working Committee has fixed March 2026 for nationwide congresses to elect new executives from ward to national levels, following its formal recognition by the Independent National Electoral Commission. The decision was reached at a post-recognition stakeholders meeting held at the Abia State Governor's Lodge in Abuja, with the process expected to culminate in a national convention that will usher in a new national leadership. Addressing journalists after the meeting, Abia State Governor and party leader Alex Oti said the congresses will be preceded by a validation of existing members and the registration of new ones, with a committee already set up to oversee the exercise. He described the congresses and convention as critical to repositioning the party and restoring internal order, stressing that the Labour Party remains committed to democratic processes and party building despite recent defections. Oti also extended an olive branch to aggrieved members, including former National Chairman Julius Abure and his team, urging them to return and abide by party rules. While expressing regret over the exit of the party's 2023 presidential candidate, Peter Obi, the governor insisted the party remains strong and focused. He further dismissed speculation about Labour Party joining any anti-Tinubu coalition ahead of 2027, stating that the party itself already is a coalition of Nigerian workers and progressive-minded citizens. However, the Abure-led faction rejected the move, vowing to appeal the court ruling that led to INEC's recognition of the Nenade Osman-led National Working Committee. Speaking through his spokesman, Obiora Ifo, Abure described the development as a Pyrrhic victory, insisting that the appellate court would overturn it. Despite the legal dispute, the party leadership reaffirmed its readiness to pursue reconciliation, unity, and credible congresses as it seeks to stabilize and strengthen the Labour Party ahead of future elections. So it appears that what is playing out in PDP
is also playing out in Labour.
In Labour
Party.
Yes.
Now, please let me give kudos to Alex Oti. You know, I like it when there is a saying that one tree cannot make a forest. And I ask, not when the tree is fruitful. If there are fruits around the tree, when the fruit begins to fall, other trees will begin to come out. So you cannot make a forest if you are not performing. Alex Oti is performing, and Alex Oti is performing, and you know that. I like it when somebody says I'm going to stay. That's the reason why I always say that Obi cannot be trusted with organization. Now look at what is happening. Just for fear of all of this, he ran. Look at this. Will have heard swear. The man who is holding an executive position that the people want him to go back has not defected to any other political party. Has stayed in that political party, walking through it, trying to even call other factions to come. Let's reconcile. That's what Obi needed to do. And of course, you know that the leadership of the Labour Party fell on Alex Oti because Obi is out. Now that's what Obi was supposed to be doing, isn't it? But he didn't do it. Now I give him kudos because I also encourage them to go and move to. It's not just calling him extended an olive branch to Abure. They should also meet him. Of course, like I said, peace sacrifice is a peace offensive. But don't forget, I didn't remember that when I was discussing the other one, but thank God it resurfaced here. What people have forgotten is that INEC also has a window by which you can organize congresses before the election. So when court has made statements, especially this other court that made statements about this whole thing, INEC will begin to recognize them, and if you do otherwise, your party will not be in the ballot because there won't be a national body to do that. Do you understand that? There won't be a national body to do that. And so these persons are saying, let us organize a national convention so that we'll have candidates for the party. So if you love your party, it is better you begin to do it now, because by, say, June, July, they won't give them that window again. Do you understand? Because INEC will have to monitor your congresses. And INEC cannot be organizing elections, going to monitor primaries, and be monitoring party congresses. Do you understand that? And of course, by now, there are some other logistics requirements for INEC that the staff will have to go. So before you do it, INEC will shift your party to after the election. You will not say it's the president that caused it. So he has said, and again, Alex Oti has made a clear statement. We're not going to coalition. We're here, which is even the coalition, the ADC that is shaking. So the Labour Party is more stable than the ADC as it ticks now, because there is a court judgment that has given impetus to this one. So I think I give kudos to Alex Oti and I ask them, look, Tinubu today is president because Tinubu, after 2023, Tinubu was the only president of the then AC. Is that correct?
Yes.
He was the only president of the then AC. And so he stayed and now began to walk the party to a institution where he came up victorious. So I think Alex Oti should continue with that. Should they not even win the presidency in 2027, and he will go back.
Now, considering that right now it appears that Labour Party is, is having a structure. It's right now, Ninadi Osman is legal. They're about to conduct the their national congresses, state and world congresses as well. So do you see the possibility of people possibly defecting into the Labour Party?
What has even stopped you from even seeing Obi coming back to Labour Party? Because he does not go to where he wants to work. He wants to go to where he will harvest. And that, see.
And you know that recently Obi had come out to say emphatically that he will never run for be a second runner-up, if I may use that word, to anybody.
To anybody.
That he is going for presidency or nothing. And this came after Alex Oti's statement. Could he be building that confidence from the fact that Labour Party is now becoming stable again? Or is it building the confidence? Are there conversations between the Atiku's camp and probably the Obi's camp with regards to who will emerge or who will concede for the other?
You know, each time Obi is going for party primaries, Obi does not want to go to party primaries to contest the primaries. He wants to just be given the primaries. Who does that? If you wanted to be given, there that you were automatic candidate was the Labour Party that you were supposed to be walking it up. Now, do you know what the blow that Obi dealt with? You know, he dealt with the Labour Party. He came into the Labour Party. Don't forget, he also boosted the Labour Party. At the time, he confused the obedient movement. Totally confused the obedient movement. Now, obedient movement now is more of the activism than they are party people. So right now, where they accuse them,
and they are spread across different parties now.
That's what I'm saying. Right now, where they were accused of not having structure, that event has given the education to now have the party structure, you left to where they would now begin to do activism in ADC. That means that they are also not going to be, because Obi didn't even go to the ADC quite on time for these people to
form a structure, to infiltrate and have his people at certain specific positions.
Before he came in, the likes of Atiku and El-Rufai have had their structures in ADC.
So he's now going there, his people are perching.
People are perching in ADC. So you are asking us here, again, in the Labour Party, not us, I'm talking about the Labour Party people, that will be that Alex Oti is building the Labour Party. Let me tell you, Alex Oti has chances in Labour Party. I tell you why. The Labour Party can decide not to run for the presidency. It's not a crime. They can decide not to run for the
they can just focus on states.
On states as sub-elections. Right? It happens in other
National Assembly, State Assembly, and
like that. They can focus on that. Now, because when he goes back, I'm not using if, except otherwise by divine intervention. When he goes back as Abia State and continue with what he's doing, he's going to eat up into, he's going to end with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, right? And ordinarily, the way our policy is wired, the presidency will go to the north. He can decide, because if he does well,
to be the vice president.
Yes. If he does, apart from if he can decide to go for Senate. Because if he does well, he may get 2-3 states that will be loyal to him. That means he has shown work. If he has done well, because people are beginning to see governance in Abia. People are beginning to see what is happening in Abia. You know, the last time I went to Aba, I didn't believe that was Aba, because that's one terrible place
that was actually Aba.
But today, if you go to Aba, you know that if in 2-3 years this man can achieve that, if you give this man the next 3 years, Aba will be something else. That's why I'm warning on all of those people.
Ex-governors.
Forget those ex-governors, they can't do anything.
Okay.
I'm saying that these people that are for IPOP or something, they should calm down, because there is a ray of hope. I used to accuse them. I said, why are you asking for Biafra? Tell me one state in the southeast that's working. That you will not tell me that if you have a Biafra, that somebody, because it's one of them that will also become president. Now somebody is showing that it can work. They should calm down and allow Aba work, because the way OT is going, it looks like Aba might be the next shopping mall of Africa. The way OT is going. And so...
And people will start relocating to Aba.
And people will start relocating to Aba. There is nothing. Look at the only thing that the president had to show, Tinubu had to show, was Lagos, example. And Lagos example is if you build a plan, a 50-year plan, and then you have a successor who is building on that. Because while we are praying for OT, we also have to pray for his successors. Who will build on that. That means OT has a chance of being the first Igbo man to become president of Nigeria. So he should go ahead. I'm encouraging him, go ahead and be doing what you're doing. It's not like Obi wasn't the candidate of the Labour Party because he was better than OT, or richer than OT, or was he more entrepreneurial than OT? OT chose to be here. And when people talk, see, OT won the election. OT has been there. OT has been in Abia running for election. He wanted to run for election and win.
For decades.
For decades. So, and he has shown that it's not just about wanting to be something for decades, that he was intentional. He
wanted to make a difference.
He wanted to make a difference. If I'm in Abia, I will not vote APC for governor, because I want state that's working.
All right. Thank you very much, Chizzy. It's a pleasure having you on Open Conversation this morning. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to our viewers for always staying connected to us. And this is where we wrap it up this episode of Open Conversation. We are open for sponsorship of the program, advert placements, news, events, coverage, and commercials. Watch us live on our website, www.atlanticnetwork.tv, on Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. You can also watch us on Avo TV, Niger TV, and Ifastech TV platform. You can connect with us on our ATN socials by subscribing, like, and share. Facebook and YouTube, Atlantic Television Network. Instagram and TikTok, Atlantic TV Network 1. And on X, Atlantic TV Net. Do not forget, peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Thank you for watching. I am Laurentia Ogu. See you same time tomorrow. Bye for now.